Hi everyone, I'm Mariko. I'm a Sydney-based artist and musician, also known as Destroy Mariko, and today I'm back with another cool dress review for Punk Rave Australia. As usual, this was sent to me as a gift, but I will always give you my honest opinion in every review. Also, if you're looking to purchase this item, be sure to use the discount code 20OFF WQ411 for 20% off and free shipping. So let's jump onto the website and have a look at the dark punk spiked collar short dress. As you can see, it's a sleeveless dress, which I think will be really great for summer coming up in Australia, and it's got some really awesome details, even on the back here where it has this great spinal detail that kind of makes me think cyberpunk actually. And on the sides we've got some cracked leather panels and strappy bits which come together under this roped bodice section, which creates a bit of a theme reflecting the ropey bits on the back. In terms of the skirt, it's short but has these cool pointy bits to spice things up. My brain kind of thinks like the Matrix somehow. And then there's the neck piece with spikes. You guys know I love my neck spikes. And here are just a few more detail shots and then the outfit suggestion. This page, remember, is just for fabric details rather than size. So you can see this is a soft, stretchy dress. And then here's the new size chart. It's slightly different from the old global size chart, so double check where you sit, but I just managed to squeeze into the extra small to small size, so that's what I'm going to be trying on today. Okay, so shipping. I actually got mine through Australia Post, but if you look on the website, you can see it actually usually comes from China, so just double check that when you're making a purchase. And if you want to know more about drop shipping from China, check out my previous review where I did the spiked hoodie. It's got all the details in there. As for my Australia Post experience, so it was sent out on Monday and arrived this morning actually. Today's a Thursday and I was still asleep, so I just tumbled out of bed and ran for the door to sign for it. I probably looked like a mess, but that was some excitement to get me going today. Anyway, so I'm really happy with the speed of postage, and customer service has been great too, so they really respond quickly anytime you need to email them. So I think that's everything. Let's go ahead and open it. So inside the package, we've got a whole bunch of bubble wrap, my favorite. I love bubble wrap. Okay, so inside the bubble wrap, I've got a few different things today. I'm just gonna set aside the other things. We will look at them another day. But this is the packet for today's dress. So it's a standard punk rave bag. Ooh, I'm really liking the feel of this fabric. All right, here we are. Okay, so let's start at the top with the collar and the cute little baby spikes. You can see there, and they're just put in like that. Now to fasten the collar, you've actually got a couple of different size options that clip into here. Moving down, we've got the connecting straps, and they're adjustable too, and they've got that sort of cracked leathery texture. They also feel a little bit sort of like, it feels a bit padded in a sort of way. Yeah, and that's the back. And then onto the bodice section, so you can see how the ropes are tied, and they've got this sort of shiny sort of texture, and it's adjustable here, so you can, make that wider or tighter as you need it. And then we come down to these side panels, and as you can see, they've also got that cracked leathery kind of texture. And something interesting is on this side, they can actually unclip. So I'm not entirely sure the purpose of that. Like maybe you could crisscross them or something if you really wanted to. I don't know, we might experiment with that later, or maybe it's something to help you get into it because they don't really feel stretchy. So maybe that's part of the being able to put it on feature. If you can see on the right side, they actually do have one of those tiny little almost invisible zippers. So maybe these are detachable so that it's easier to pull that up and down, and then they've done it on both sides for symmetry. I don't know, we'll play with it. And then on the back, we've got that really cool spinal column kind of feature, and that's got the same kind of ropey stuff that's used in the bodice on the front. So yeah, they kind of match in that way. This doesn't really have any adjustable bits, but they are kind of connected through like this. So if you pull a bit there, it does tighten down there. So that's kind of interesting. And yeah, I really like this feature. I think it's really interesting. It makes me think of like this whole cyber style in a sort of odd way. Kind of makes me want to have cyber locks again, but that's for another day. I also kind of like that because it has that same look, it almost feels as if it's somehow attached to the front, just like as an illusion. So yeah, I think that's a really cool bit of design there. Something else that's cool about the back is if you see how these ropey bits are going over these two folds, right? It almost makes it look as if these are the only things holding the dress together, and then they've kind of continued that further down the back of the dress in the way that they folded it. So I think that's really interesting. And then coming down to the skirt section. So it's a little bit hard to show this close up, but you can see we've got all the little pointy bits, which I really like that kind of design feature. Now this is using the main fabric that goes through most of the dress, and it's quite stretchy. So that's really good. It feels quite soft without being too thin or anything, so it doesn't feel like it's going to wear out too quickly. Okay, so I think that covers everything for my first impressions. I really like the look of it, and I think it's got a really good vibe. Let's go try it on and see how it fits. Okay, so here's how the dress looks on me. As usual, I'm going to put my measurements on this side and the dress measurements on that side. We'll start off with a full body twirl, and then we'll come in and do a close-up of the midsection, and then we'll have a chat about it. And the midsection close-up. Okay, so let's talk about it, and we'll start with the size and fit. So if you remember, we got the extra small to small size, and in terms of measurements, I just fit into the small. But in terms of how it actually feels on my body, there's actually quite a bit more room to play with. So, you know, there's all these little adjustments, and the fabric's quite stretchy. So even if you just fit into the edge of a size range, it doesn't mean it's going to be tight. There's actually still room to play. And I think that's important to know, because if you've got like one measurement that's just a little bit too big for a size, you could actually probably still fit into this. So for example, my hips are just like 1 centimeter out of the extra small to small size, and that's caused me no issues. Also, like with the bust area, for example, so this rope area you can tie a bit tighter, and that's what I did. So there is still a bit room if your bust is a little bit out. And then with my waist also just fits in, but I found there was still some room to play with. And actually I did play with those side straps. So if you can see here, what I've done, instead of just going 3 across normally, which is what the suggestion was in the design images, I actually did a sort of crisscrossing thing. And the interesting thing about crisscrossing them like that is you can kind of tighten it a little bit more, and yeah, there was room for me to do that. So I just went ahead to try and bring that shape in a little bit. It's very subtle, but you know, it works. And then if you like being able to customize things, yeah, you can play with that. So that was really cool. On the topic of those straps though, I think the real purpose is just to help you put it on. So I did have a go putting the dress on without undoing those straps first. And yeah, there's not really enough stretch to really do that. So you do want to unbuckle all those little bits and then pull it over your head, and it's fine. So I think that's the real purpose, but if you want to play around, that's a cool little feature. I suppose the next things in terms of adjustable size would be these straps, and I had a little bit of a play like going up and down, and then just found like where I felt like it sat the best on me. So this is where I've settled. In terms of this collar, right, so I actually went for the smallest size on the collar, and the reason for that is I mean, you could go either way. The difference is so small, but I feel like the smallest size makes more sense because the distance between that back panel and the front, if you put it on the smallest size, it's even, whereas if you make it slightly bigger, it makes it kind of look a bit lopsided. So I would go for the smallest size, but it's only a very subtle kind of thing. So I guess if you're the kind of person who is worried about like the tight feeling around the neck, you could always loosen a little bit, but my preference is to keep it tight. And then I guess the last thing in terms of size would be the skirt section, but that it's so stretchy and it's so flowy that there's no issues, you know, even with my hips being like 1 centimeter out of the size, you don't notice because it's just not an issue. It's a loose kind of design. So yeah, that's completely fine there. Now moving on to fabric and how it feels. So overall, the dress feels really nice, especially with the main fabric being that sort of soft, stretchy kind of stuff. I will say though that I do feel a bit of an itch sort of around this area, and I think that's because of the way the panels are sewn together. So as you can see here, where the two different kinds of fabric meet, there is a little bit of a seam here, but there's also a sort of hidden seam down this side which supports this middle panel. It's a little bit hard for me to pinpoint exactly which one is itching, but I just know it's sort of somewhere around this area. Oddly enough though, I'm only feeling it like right up this sort of height. Below here, I don't feel it really at all. Now it's only a minor itch, it doesn't bother me too much, but that it just is, if you do have sensitive skin or you're sensitive to those kinds of sensations, that might be something to keep in mind. Other than these bits though, most of the dress feels fine. I guess I am noticing a few more seams than I usually would with some of the other Punk Rave Australia items, but for me it's not really crossing that threshold of being too annoying for me. Other than that though, in terms of how the fabric feels, I think it's really good. I especially love the skirt section with the main stretchy fabric. It's really soft and it feels really nice. In terms of design related things and how it feels, so this is another one of those dresses where it feels a bit tighter up top before opening into a more open flowy feeling. And so the main bit that's tight, I guess, is this upper neck section, which kind of makes sense because it's supporting the rest of the dress. And the way the back is designed, I don't notice that at all. It's invisible to me in terms of feeling. It's mainly like the collar and actually these straps. So yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense, and it's not something that bothers me. It's just, yeah, it does feel a bit tighter up there. And then, you know, obviously you've got some adjustments around here, and then it about the waist is where it starts to feel looser and where I've done the crisscrossing, and then yeah, opens up to be really flowy. In terms of like when I'm walking around the house with the skirt, it feels so nice. It feels so free and open, and yeah, I think it's going to be really good for summer because I can just feel like the breeze moving around me just from walking inside the house. There isn't even a breeze blowing in here. So I really like that feeling. It makes me feel like I could totally do the goth at the beach kind of thing. And then in terms of range of movement, I think this is one of the freest feeling dresses that I felt. Like, yes, it's a little bit tight up here, but that doesn't impede your movement at all. I've been crawling across the room to go and grab my drink bottle, which was a little bit too far away. Yeah, I feel like you could do a lot of movement type stuff. So if you're a dancer or you're involved in a lot of like active movement kind of stuff, I think this is really good. It's really flexible. Yeah, awesome. Finally, in terms of how this dress looks, I'm really loving the style. I think it's really great. I think it's the kind of dress that will turn heads while also being rather practical, and I think it's also quite versatile. So if you remember from the sample images, you can totally wear it with a jacket. You could even mix and match jackets and it looks great too. So you could really wear this through the year as part of your styling, but the main thing I'm excited about is summer because it gets quite hot in Australia, and so it's really good to have something that feels open and flowy and looks great at the same time. Ooh, I almost forgot one design thing. So if you look at the neck spikes, right, you can see they kind of don't exactly point all straight out. Some are a little bit pointing up and some are pointing a little bit down. That's just because it's a fabric kind of collar. So if you're used to the leather collars, they usually sort of stick all out in a uniform line. That's not the case here. So if that's something that's important to you, that might be something worth knowing. But if you're okay with chaos, which I kind of am, having them go a little bit different is kind of cool, and it's a nice change from the leather thing. So yeah, that's just an interesting design thing to keep note of if that's important to you. So to summarize, I think this is a really great dress. The size fits really well. It's got a little bit of extra room to play with, even though I'm just on the large end to fit in. The fabric feels really good. There's just a couple of little itchy kind of areas, particularly around here, but not in a way that's going to turn me off. It also just feels a little bit tight up here, but also, again, not in any way that annoys me. The quality feels really good. I love the fabric. It's got that nice stretch. It doesn't feel like it's going to wear out. I think it looks really great. It feels good. It's easy to move in. It's really practical. And yeah, I can't wait to go out wearing this. Now, if you'd like to get one of these dresses for yourself, I will put a link to the shop in the description below alongside the discount code, which is 20 off WQ411, and that gets you 20% off and free shipping. Thanks as always to Punk Rave Australia for sending me another amazing item. I'm really happy with it. I think it's really great. Now, if you liked this video, found it helpful, would like to see more, please leave a like, a comment, maybe share it with a friend who might be interested. You can also subscribe either to my channel or to the Punk Rave Australia channel. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you again next time when we open some of the other items that I didn't do today. I'm just waiting on one more item so that we're going to do a whole set, and it's going to be a very different style to what we've got on today. So I can't wait to show you that. It'll probably be in a couple of weeks. Until then, I'll see you guys later, and I hope you've been having a great Halloween.